Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel called the Yu-Gi-Oh! Project, where I'm making a playable deck for every character that has ever appeared in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise. The topic of today's long-awaited episode is Rally Dawson from the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5 this anime. Rally Dawson is a supporting character, one of Yusei's satellite friends, which has an important role in Season 1's progression and is also important at the end of Season 2 when Rally sacrifices himself so the other can defeat the Earthbound Immortals. Rally's personality is quite cheerful and nice, but does not have any character development in the series, which I find quite sad. Rally was to me quite a confusing character because I could not tell if it was a boy or a girl when I first played Yu-Gi-Oh! 2009 Stardust Accelerator game. Eventually I figured out that Rally is a boy, and I also found out how poor were my dueling skills back in the 2009 because I got defeated so many times by this character in that game. But it turns out that Rally's deck is even worse than my dueling skills in 2009, as he plays a turbo aka one-shot deck, as it is called in the OCG, a burn deck, which is not the most powerful deck ever, just to say the least. The deck itself is comprised of low-level monsters, which all have 0 attack points, which deal effect damage upon attack, destroy a monster, or both at the same time. Rally also plays some generic machine-type monsters and some generic machine-type support cards. The effects of his cards are quite mediocre, and 0 attack stat of most monsters does not help either, so the deck was quite a challenge to build, but in the end I made something quite genius and not totally bad, as I included some kaijus and nibirus in the deck, which synergize so well with the rest of the deck, so the deck basically focuses on getting rid of opponent's monsters with before mentioned monsters and then just destroying those with our turbo monster and dealing component effect damage. This deck will be also constructed according to the 6 deck building rules of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Project, and before we get to the deck profile, please like this video, subscribe to my channel and tell me in the comments below what do you want to see next. Well, firstly we are playing 3 copies of Nibiru, as it is the most important card of the deck, which gets rid of opponent's problematic monsters and allows us to blow it up with our turbo monsters and deals insane amounts of damage. Then 3 copies of Jizukiru Kaiju, which serves the same purpose as Nibiru but is used in different situations. One's support platform, which Rally uses in the anime and is mostly in the deck for this reason. 3 copies of Mecha Bunny, which is an excellent turn 1 play as it floats into itself and deals effect damage to our opponent. 3 copies of Turbo Rocket, which is in the deck to deal effect damage and is also a tuner for our boss synchro monster. Then 3 copies of Gizme Kinaba, which facilitates the summon of our monsters, as many of them have same attack and defense stat, and these monsters allows us to special summon those from the hand and enables us an easy synchro or link summon. And 3 turbo boosters, which can special summon themselves after normal summon, and they can be used as synchro or link material or can pop monsters with their own effects. Then 1 for 1 to special summon a level 1 monster from the deck and to set up our graveyard, 2 pots of desires for draw power, 1 monster reborn to reborn a monster, 1 pot of prosperity for even more draw power, 3 copies of Synchro Overtake, a card that works wonders in this deck as it allows us to summon Turbo Rocket from the deck or grave and allows us to use its effect deal damage, or it can be used as a synchro material. 3 Zero Xerox to prevent our opponent from attacking our 0 attack monsters, 2 copies of Give and Take, which are incredible in this deck as they set us up with a high attack monster on opponent's board, which is then blown up to deal effect damage and is also used to deal with stupid Mystic Mind decks. 2 Loops of Distraction, which can wipe out even more of opponent's board and deal some more damage. 3 Crackdowns, which are very good in this deck as sometimes this deck tends to be quite low on monster resources, especially for link plays, and also it helps to steal opponent's key cards to prevent their plays. 1 Cyber Summon Blaster, which is played by Rally and deals some effect damage, and finally 2 copies of Call of the Haunted, which is in the deck to summon monsters from the grave to extend our plays or just to beat down or burn our opponent. Then in the side deck there are some turbo monsters which are not played by Rally but are a part of the TCG archetype but not the OCG one, so I had to include them. Then in the extra deck we are playing 1 Exoskeletal Dragon Guy Arm, which is in the deck for its Emerald effect as it allows us to recycle our synchro monsters, but is mostly in the deck just to be banished by Pot of Prosperity. 1 Sea Dragon Lord, which I tried to include in one of my decks for years because I like its artwork and is generally a good level 5 beater, but is in the deck mostly to be banished again by Pot of Prosperity. 1 Armades because it has an amazing battle phase ability which bypasses various annoying battle traps and monster effects, 1 old entity Hastor, which can steal opponents' monsters, 2 copies of Star Mines, a very quirky monster which deals a lot of attack damage and is in the deck to end the game in some cases, then 3 copies of our boss monster, the Turbo Cannon, which destroys opponents' monsters and deals our opponent attack damage, 1 Nightmare Duo for removal utility, 1 Geometer Transferer, which is amazing in this deck as it can swap our monsters with opponents, and this is very beneficial to the deck as it aids us with resolving the Turbo monster's effects, but beware of this monster's errors because you have to place it in the right way in the extra monster zone to resolve its effect. 1 Linkuriboh, which is great in this deck as we play many 0 attack monsters and level 1 monsters. This card successfully protects the first ones, and 2 copies of Relinquished Anima, which steals opponents' monsters and is just great in this deck as it can easily become a great beatstick if it steals our Kaiju summon to opponent's field. And that would be it for the deck profile, so let's see the deck in action.